All right. Good afternoon. I call to order this regular meeting of the Carrabelle Community Redevelopment Agency. It's Tuesday, April the 20th, 2021. It's 1:36 p.m. and we're conducting this meeting in the Carrabelle City Hall chambers. And we just held the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance earlier in our special meeting, so we will not repeat that at this time. And I'll ask Ms. Keisha, our City Clerk, to please call the roll for this meeting.
Bo May.
Here.
Sabrina, or Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Allen.
Here.
Mayor LaPaz.
Here.
Commissioner Mathis.
Here.
And Commissioner Millender.
Here.
Okay, next on the agenda is approval of the March 16th, 2021 minutes.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, that's Commissioner Millender, second by Commissioner Allen. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Okay, we have public comment. And this is the time for anyone to speak if there's some information or something that's not on the agenda. So it looks like we have someone that would like to speak. Mr. Chester Reese, please come forward and state your name, sir.
My name is Chester Reese. Good afternoon, everyone.
Or is there something?
We have received a CRA grant for the preparation and painting and refurbishing of Frank's Bait Shop. But in that, we have found a couple of things that have increased the scope of our work. One of them is the roof is leaking, and we have some photos kind of circulating. We found that there's a box on the top of the roof with a tire rim on it that's holding down a piece of plywood, and water's pouring in through there. And we didn't realize it until we got up on the lift and went up there, and the picture's pretty self-explanatory. Also, there's some ridge cap that has, I don't know whether it was poorly installed or it's just up, but anyway, that looks like another source of leak. And that's actively leaking into the building itself and causing more damage. Also, one of the other things, when we started taking and prepping there was a secondary roof built on that structure, and they put T111 up there. Well, we thought it was just one sheet. Well, it was two sheets. We pulled off the front sheet, and there was some serious rot behind that, which we had no idea existed, and it's going to take us a whole lot more to get that together. And it's serious. I mean, it's structurally.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that's it. That's both sides.
Okay, and can that be seen from the street?
Yes, it can.
That's not on the roof. That's more like a.
That's right smack dab in front of the building.
All right.
And if you look at that too, we've also discovered the original orange paint for the Gulf Station in 1925. I kept trying to look for old photos and stuff, but they were all in black and white, so we finally found the real colors, and the owners have agreed to go with that. The other thing is that in the original proposal that I gave prior to this, I had mentioned signage and put a number of $3,300 on signage. That was really not what I was trying to get across. Basically, what we're trying to do is not do any signage, but we would like to take the nasty-looking steel post there with the band that's all rusted, and we can cure that with copper. With some product and put a new coat of paint on it, because it looks pretty ratty the way it is, and that was really part of the original CRA, except it got kind of expanded and kind of mistaken. So basically what it is the owner of the station formerly known as Frank's Bait Shop is asking the City of Carrabelle CRA Board to consider increasing the funding for the facade grant to cover the additional construction issues discovered. While preparing the structure for painting, a great deal of rot, damaged siding was uncovered by the contractor. Also, there was some roof leakage that caused water to infiltrate the building, causing further damage. In the original grant, the signpost was not included as a facade feature. There will not be any monies used for signage itself. Post and metal band are the only parts to be addressed and would be prepped and painted, photos included. as we look at scope and estimated cost of increased work, the rot repair extension would be around $2,000, we feel. For the additional stuff, tearing off and putting new in, we've got some flashing ideas, and we're going to keep water from accreting in there. Roof repair and sealing, well, we're looking at $750 because we got to get up there and we got to see what that box is all about. And then the signpost and paint, we're looking at $550. We're using a Benjamin Moore commercial grade paint for all projects.
Okay, I just wanted to say, just as a reminder, but you said $750 for the roof repair. The grant allows up to $1,000 for roof repair because it's a facade, you know, and we can't see that from.
Correct.
Okay.
We figured, you know, $750 was going to do it.
Okay. And so how much do they have remaining to reach that $16,000 cap?
Was it $16,650 was what they?
What was your original,
We were $3,300 short of the $16,500.
okay, thank you, Sabrina.
Yeah, he's correct.
Say that again, sorry.
$3,300 short.
Okay. Well, do we just want to, since, you know, we know whenever you tear into something and start doing remodel, any building, you're going to find something that you're not expecting. So what about a motion to let them go on up to the $3,300? And if they submit something that doesn't qualify, well, we'll just, you know, we can reject the
Very good.
submission.
I'll make a motion to approve that request.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, and that's by Commissioner Millender to approve that up to $3,300, and a second by Mathis, Commissioner Mathis. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries.
Thank you all very much. We really appreciate it. And come by anytime. We found some very interesting things laying around Frank's place.
I come
Okay.
by daily, but I don't stop.
Come on in.
You said when you applied that you all, I think we're going to do it in white and then trim blue.
Yes.
Now
and,
are you changing it to orange?
you know, no, the
Okay.
orange is only for the band that's the green band around the top.
Uh-huh.
It's only going to be there because that was the original color for the 1925 Gulf Station. I don't know what, they put green in there when it was Marathon or it was something
Okay.
else, but it doesn't fit the historical narrative of it.
So
BP
blue.
went to green.
BP went to green, exactly, sir.
All right then. We
Thank you all very much.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
All right, okay, we'll move on to staff. Yes?
We need a CRA project signed.
Oh, yes, I was gonna ask Courtney, that's on my list when she gets to her.
I probably need to order some.
Yes, okay, so,
It's right on the corner.
staff reports under CRA Director, please.
We've been working with Duke Energy on the electrical fixtures on the utility poles for our Christmas decorations. So Dustin's went out, he's got a list of poles, and we've submitted those to Duke, and we're working with them on getting those done. Also, we discussed the pine trees at Veterans Park at the last meeting that needed to be removed, and we had actually was gonna go out for bid and get a quote to get those removed. But I had a contractor from Duke Energy that came in, and he said because of the distance between the power pole, that really they needed to take those out, and that they would do that for us for free. Mr. Danny Collins is here. But they're starting over in St. Joe and working their way this way, so they haven't got here yet. Actually, you may see 2 ribbons tied on the trees down there now, and I think the Commissioner Millender went out with an arborist and looked at those and tied those ribbons. So I'm not sure if they'll take the one tree or both trees. We know they're gonna get the one tree, but maybe they'll go ahead and take that second one when they get here. So it's not gonna cost us anything, but it is taking a little bit more time than we had anticipated.
Can I just comment on that real quick, Mayor? I had a bug specialist come out, that's a layman term, come out and look at those 2 trees with me, and virtually got the same opinion that I shared with you folks at the last meeting. But their urgency was the same as mine. You need to get them out there as soon as possible. They're full of bugs. If you want to save the other trees, there is a possibility, in their opinion, that they may make it. But the quicker you can get them out of there, because they're infested with the bugs, they need to go.
All right, thank you. Okay, Ms. Courtney.
We've submitted a request to Franklin County about putting some bicycle sharrows on Highway 67 and from Highway 98 to Avenue A, in that one block section. I did get a response back from, well, actually, we got it back from Mr. Schuler, the county attorney, but he was concerned that we weren't able to put them on 67 because of the speed.
I thought you said it was a state road. He wrote back, one of them wrote back that 67 was a state road. I will forward you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's 67.
It's a
I know
county
it,
road.
I know it. And so,
But it's a state road too, because it runs all the way through Liberty County.
But I mean, we're just avoiding, I mean, they're kind of trying to bring that into the discussion, but we're avoiding that controversy when we're.
and so they said because of the speed limit, we can't have a bike lane? I mean, we can't have sharrows?
He discussed that with me, Mr. Brown, in a conversation that he thought that it was because of the speed limit.
But we do have sharrows in 35 mile an hour.
Well, and I thought, I
And
thought,
Russell's gonna,
it's interesting, I mean, we're talking to all these different people, I guess, at the county, but the bottom line was, I thought that if DOT allows us to do it, we can do it. Like, the county's basically saying, we're not,
I think the county's basically saying it's not our road.
yeah, it's not our road, not our
oh, well,
problem.
good for them.
If you can do it, do it, but, yeah, that's the.
Okay, and Russell,
Sure,
he
sure.
wants to weigh in.
Sharrows are appropriate at 35 miles an hour or less.
Okay. All right.
So will we go ahead with that? Is that what we-
I'll reach out to the county commissioner.
I was gonna say I will too.
Okay, all right, we'll both do that.
Because I know that Dan got an email from Mr. Schuler, I got a phone call from Mr. Morone.
All right.
The request to remove the arborescence on the Veterans Park Memorial Wall and placement of additional commemorative bricks. I have ordered some additional bricks, some that needed to be replaced and some that were new bricks that needed to be, that people had put in an order for quite some time ago. We've just been waiting to get enough for an order. But I called Mr. Jones, the Jones Stucco out of Apalachicola, and he said as soon as we got the bricks, he was willing to come and do the work. He basically said anytime, just give him a call. So I'm just waiting, the bricks should be here anytime, because we ordered them right after the last meeting, so that shouldn't, we're just waiting on the bricks to get here.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes.
Courtney, have you ever heard of one of the names being misprinted on one of those bricks?
Is that the one I reordered, probably?
Mhm.
Okay, you've got it covered.
Yeah, we've all heard of it.
And yeah, all right. And
And I went back through my brick list and we ordered one that was correct, but it's not on the wall. I did go double check and it's not on the wall, but there was one ordered with the correct name.
And we replaced all the bricks. We took it up completely apart, threw all the other ones away, and did a brand new wall there.
and at our last meeting, we talked about cleaning the wall.
He'll do that.
And he's the one that did all the bricks for us. And then he's been back one time and cleaned the wall since he did the bricks, and then, so he'll do that again.
So, yeah, he's excited to get started on that. And a side note, we're gonna have him look at the other two brick walls here at both the cemeteries that need cleaning as well while he's here doing it. The bids to trim the palm trees throughout the CRA district. I received two bids. One came in late, so we're only going with the one that got here on time. But it was $35 a tree. So they counted 96 palm trees. It'd be $3,360.
How much was it?
$3,360.
So we have the, you all got a copy of our expense to budget we certainly have the funding for that under maintenance and repair, and it really needs to be done. And,
I'll make a motion, we proceed on it with the
Okay.
trimming.
Second.
Who was the,
Commissioner Melder, Commissioner Mathis is the second. Proceed with the trimming.
That company was Tree Help.
Tree help. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you. Anything
I
else?
didn't get that, thank you.
Commissioner Melander and then Commissioner Mathis. Any other questions for Ms. Courtney?
And you're gonna order CRA signs for the facade?
Yes, thank you. Yes. That's on my list, I forgot it. Yes, we need, we've actually got 5 facade grants going now.
5 or
so
6? Is it just 5?
3, 5,
And I had some, and I don't know if they didn't get moved over from the old building, but I can't find them. I've been up in the attic and they're not here.
Okay.
I do have one question
All
about
right.
tree trimming, Mayor.
Mhm.
Courtney, when you, award that contract to be cut,
Mhm.
are you gonna discuss trimming protocol, or is Dustin?
Yes,
Okay.
they should be removing the limbs when they
Okay.
trim.
Thank you.
I'm certain it will be to satisfaction.
Uh,
It'd be to satisfaction, I'm
Well,
sure.
I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, you can ruin the tree or you
Yeah.
can cut it right. you know.
Right, I understand. And, okay. All right, so that tree trimming motion carries, and is there anything else then for Ms. Courtney? Okay, then the city attorney's report.
All right. The ongoing item is we call it the findings of necessity, but really we're down to the details now of what was previously recommended by the CRA, which was extension of the timeline of the CRA, as well as expansion of the boundaries. Late yesterday, we received a copy of the map from Thurman Roddenberry reflecting the existing CRA area and the expanded. And I know Russell actually printed some hard copies off. Courtney, I think, is looking for it on her computer.
I don't have it.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Okay, yeah, we got hard copies. And the bottom line is, also Russell provided some additional information that will go into the findings of necessity relative to infrastructure improvements. And just from here forward, you will likely be dealing with this at the city commission level. And the steps that we'll need to go through are, and I've drafted an ordinance, we have the draft findings of necessity, we need to integrate the map along with the property information. I'll work with Keisha on that. And then Russell's information on infrastructure will be integrated in. That will be something reviewed by the commission when considering the recommendation of the CRA. And what Keisha and I will also do is send notice to the taxing authority of the specific expanded area. And what we need to do is just simply identify it, ideally by parcel ID number, but we certainly now have the lot and block information. So that's a big leap forward to getting this done. And following our notice to the taxing authority, we will put in the paper, we'll do an advertisement of the readings on the ordinance that will support the expansion and extension of the CRA, and that will provide the public an opportunity to come in and see if they have any issue with it, as well as, although the taxing authority, but we'll put the county on notice as well and all that, so if anybody has an objection to it, though, that's their opportunity to weigh in. So we've got two ways of proceeding here, and because I believe we can treat the past votes that the CRA has done as the recommendation to the city commission for expansion and extension. and then the city commission will review the findings of necessity and basically adopt those. If the city commission decides to, again, vote on an ordinance, basically, which is, the ordinance just details the expansion and extension of the CRA. So, not to make it more complicated, it needs to be, the next step is really notifying the taxing authority once we have all our property information compiled, to see if there's any objection from the county.
Okay, I have a question, and I can't see you. Could you, it's because of these, thank you, Ms. Keisha, turn it
Oh, the
one way or
glare.
the other, I can't see.
Interesting.
There you go, yeah. Oh, well, thank you.
Is that not better?
No, but I'm gonna get over here so I can
Yes.
see you.
Well, you're not missing anything.
All right, but he's dressed today with a suit.
That's right.
Okay.
We really like your striped suits.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll start wearing suits more.
All right. The finding of necessity. So you're saying the CRA board does not need to review the finding of necessity, that would be up to the city commission?
What I'd like to do, I mean, we have two, so when I say two ways, is we'll get the findings of necessity complete now that we have the map from yesterday, and then Russell forwarded information today. I'll get that finalized. It can certainly be, come before the CRA next month. But I don't believe that if we've already, as a CRA, recommended to the city commission, and the city commission basically elects to move forward with notification of the taxing authority and that sort of thing, which I know this has been drug out, that we literally have already done that. We just didn't have the map. It's the big thing, that we can begin that process so that we don't lose any more time, basically. I know we still have time, but I know it's, given how things go, we need to be careful.
We will be losing time anyway, because I recommend that we don't take this up at the May 6th commission meeting, because once again, Commissioner Brown will be absent.
That's right.
In training, and it's a majority vote is required, and I would like her to be present for that vote. So we can't take it up by the city commission until the June meeting.
Okay, so then we'll be on call it an easy track of findings of necessity. Will be in front of the CRA in the May meeting, and then we could go through we could just make it very formal that the CRA then recommends adoption of the findings of necessity, and I'm going to call it re-recommends that it supports the extension as previously discussed of time and area. And just FYI, we will have a little bit of, and this is really, again, Keisha's headache, an accounting exercise, because the new expanded area will need to be accounted for separately from the existing area, because it'll have a new base year.
Okay. All right. And everyone is familiar with the expanded area, right? Yes, no?
I've kind of seen that.
We don't have that.
Yeah, we've got it.
Someone
Here,
could-
hang
Okay.
Do you have a
Yes.
digital copy that you can email me?
And then,
Yes.
I sent you a copy of the minutes, Mr. Hartman, where we agreed to recommend to extend for 30 years.
Yes, I will, yes, I will.
Okay, so
When
the ordinance, I believe, says,
20,
20.
right, that was a draft ordinance, I'll change.
and this ordinance is to be dealt with at the on the city commission level.
Correct.
And you were looking for a map, Ms. Court?
Yes.
I'm gonna send it, I have it here from Melissa. Brown's email.
So Melissa Davis.
SED.
CD.
Send it to me and I'll forward it.
it's off.
You would copy me.
Are we waiting for
We
the
love technology.
Yeah. But they did fly a helicopter on the moon, on the Mars yesterday.
Yeah, but I listened to the county commission meeting this morning, they went through a lot of this waiting on technology.
Got it.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, so the green is our current CRA, has been in effect since 1992, and it's about to sunset next year, 2022. And so we are we're working to expand that district into the yellow part, and then extend the CRA again, by Florida statute will allow us to extend that another 30 years. So that's a big job there. At that point, when that happens, we'll have to readdress how we manage and operate our CRA, I do believe. Okay, is that all right with everyone? All right, nice map. Okay, are there any other things that you need to report to us, Mr. Hartman?
No.
Okay, does anyone have questions for Mr. Hartman? All right, then we'll move forward to the CRA District Landscape and Maintenance Report, and I saw Mr. Messer yesterday, Mr. Messer Ray. He said he would not be able to attend today, but he's trimmed back most all the landscaped areas. All the bushes have been trimmed back, looking good, putting fresh mulch in the landscape beds. And then I did remind him, but we want to maybe remind him again, that the Riverfront Festival is going to be on June the 12th, we believe now, on Marine Street. So we want to have that looking good but he's got a couple of months, almost 2 months notice.
And he's got some photos of the work he's been doing.
June.
Yeah, it's good.
Mhm. Yeah, he's coming along there. All right, do y'all have anything you want to send any messages to Mr. Messer, since he's not with us today? Okay, all right then, we'll move forward finally to new business. Item number 1, electric vehicle charging station in Carrabelle. Presentation by Mr. Danny Collins of Duke Energy and discussion and possible action. And we have Mr. Danny Collins coming forward, and thank you for coming today, sir. And
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for sitting through our previous meeting and all of these discussions here today.
With the year that we've all had, it's a pleasure to be back in front of a city council, even if I'm on the agenda.
Very good.
So Mayor La Paz had reached out to me to get some information about electric vehicle charging stations, and we have a kind of a program in flux that I wanted to talk about, and then talk about what we'll be doing in the future. First, I think it's important to talk about why we're even bothering with electric vehicle charging infrastructure. I think it's kind of becoming more and more obvious that the car companies are focusing more heavily on electric vehicles. Several several large auto manufacturers have announced that they're going full electric by a certain date. So I think that it's less of a if it's gonna happen, and it's now more of a when it's happening or how fast it's gonna happen. On top of that, Duke Energy announced that we're converting the vast majority of our fleet to electric vehicles over a 10-year period. So we're just now starting that. So there will come a point in the very near future where the car that Danny Collins drives for Duke Energy will be electric, because that's what they give me to drive. Not quite there yet, but it's coming very soon. So on top of that, we're looking at what we need to do differently to serve customers who are going to use these electric vehicles. So several years ago, we went before the Public Service Commission and got approval for a pilot electric vehicle charging station project, or we call it our Park and Plug project. Again, it's a pilot project, so not something that was ever meant to be permanent, but we always kind of looked at it as, if this works, then we'll do something else after that. The reason the Public Service Commission approved it and really liked it was because they really don't have a lot of information on electric vehicle charging infrastructure and what that means to the overarching grid in Florida. As more and more cars use electricity for fuel, that's going to alter how the grid performs. So they wanted that data. So our goal in that program was to establish between 500 and 600 electric vehicle chargers across our service territory in Florida, and then track the data on when they were used, how often they're used, that sort of stuff. Provide that to the Public Service Commission at the end of the program so that they can then make decisions going forward for all utilities. So that program has kind of closed out in terms of adding new locations to it. I'll walk you through the process for what that program looked like because coincidentally, we're going through a new rate case agreement, settlement agreement with the Public Service Commission now. That should be on their docket sometime this summer. If that portion of the agreement is approved, we will roll with a new EV charging program. It'll probably look a lot like the last one that we did because it was fairly successful. So the old program and what it looked like was the 500 plus locations or chargers that we installed were split amongst 3 different categories. So we split a portion of them into kind of multifamily housing, so apartment complexes. We split a good chunk of them at businesses, so you're kind of your large employers, so they could have them available for the employees. And then the third category was public areas. So the ones that we did over in Apalachicola fall under that category. That was part of a kind of a strategic plan to set some up along the US 19/98 corridor between St. Pete and Mexico Beach, which is the farthest west that we go. There really was not any EV charging stations when we started this along that corridor. Once you got north of Tampa, there was nothing on 19 or 98 until you got to Panama City. So we said, well, let's get some along this corridor. We got some in Apalachicola, we've got some in Perry, and then in Monticello. That's pretty much what we did in the northern part of the state. The process for those public chargers, because we put them on public property, on city or county property, we get an agreement with what we call a site host. The site host has to basically give us permission to put our stuff there. The billing portion of it, because these do have a meter just like anything else, and it's the cost of the EV chargers is tied to the actual use of the chargers by the end user. So the site host has to agree to, 1, allow us to place it on their property, and 2, be responsible for the billing portion of that. There's 2 options with that. They can pay for it as a service to the public. I didn't find anybody that wanted to do that. The other option is a cost reimbursable through our vendor that runs the actual EV chargers. So The way in practice that it would work is we get it set up, people come and use it, they plug in, they do their little app on their phone, and they're charged based on their usage by that company. Green Lots is what we used for those. At the end of the month, and if you are doing it, the city would get a bill from Duke Energy for the use, the actual usage on it, and then you would get a check from Green Lots from the actual customer side usage. So the only difference in terms of cost was the only thing that we were not allowed to charge back to the end user, the EV owner, was our customer charge that's on every bill. It's like $15 a month. So we would install it, we would maintain it, everything is on Duke Energy aside from that $15 a month bill. So needless to say, we didn't have a lot of folks that were pretty upset about the deal. They got a free EV charger in their community, and all the folks that would look to utilize it for about $15 a month, so a pretty good deal. Our new program, whatever version we call it, whatever name we give it, if it gets approved by the Public Service Commission, in all likelihood will look very much the same. So if it's something that y'all are interested in doing, I can make sure that y'all are on the list. If that is approved this summer, we would start building the program and looking to identify locations late summer, early fall, and into the winter, with the plan to start construction on these different sites early next year. So while it looks like we've got, we haven't even got approval for a new program yet, if we do get that approval, which we anticipate we will, things will start moving pretty quickly. But I'd be happy to answer any questions about what we're looking to do.
Okay, so if the CRA and the city of Carrabelle was interested, or is interested, then we would go on a list, and that list, then you all would take all of your interested parties or agencies and then choose. That doesn't, just because our city would be interested does not mean guarantee that we would receive the charge.
Correct, and they're part of, and I should probably go into what we're looking for in terms of a location. So,
okay.
Carrabelle certainly would be attractive to bring more chargers to the 98 corridor, the western end of it. We look for an area where people are actually going to use it. I had one community that talked to me about putting it at their airport outside of town. People driving through aren't going to want to sit in the airport for an hour, while their car's charging. They want to be near restaurants. They want to be near shopping. They want to have something to do if they're going to have to be there for an hour. By and large, the folks that own electric vehicles plan trips based on where they need to recharge if they're going on a long haul. They kind of know the drill. These are not folks that are renting one and then figuring it out on the way. They own it. They know what they're doing. So you need to make sure it's put in such a location where there are amenities around for the folks that are going to use it, or it will not be used. Secondly, it needs to be in a safe location. So we look for, it needs to be a paved parking spot, proper lighting, and then, definitely in a good location in terms of safety. Aside from that, all we ask is that the spot is marked as EV parking only, to make sure that somebody doesn't park there and keeps an EV user from using it. There is really no rhyme or reason to our selection. We just look for those kind of places and then communicate directly with the site host to see if they're comfortable with the agreement, and then we go from there. Based on my experiences during the last round, virtually every community that came to me and said we want one got one. So if y'all are the first that has come to me as we're going through this, so I can assure you I'll put you high on my list when they ask me.
Okay, well, let me ask that. First of all, does anyone have further questions for Mr. Collins?
I got one question. Could this be worked in with the air and water tanks? You drive into the service station here at these jars, or you can load up on electricity?
It certainly can. You know, really, we can put these kind of pretty much anywhere where we have facilities. There's kind of two different chargers. There's a level 2 charger, which is, we can run off a single phase line. We have single phase everywhere, so that's pretty much if we have facilities, we can put a level 2. Those are slower. The DC fast chargers, which are more attractive, more folks want to use them because the fast charge, or they charge faster. We need 3-phase power, so that limits it a little bit, but there is enough around, and a lot of gas stations already have 3-phase power, so we can put those there too. So it's, the location, it's a lot easier to site an EV charger than it is a gas station.
Okay, yes, sir.
And one question, just to clarify, if I understood correctly. If hypothetically we were given a station or an opportunity for one, and we put it in, and it was not used by motorists, if I understood you right, it would cost us $600 a year to Duke Energy.
So that's the old program. Not knowing what the new program is going to look like because we haven't got approval for it yet, I can't tell you that for sure. That's what it cost under the Park and Plug original pilot program.
Right.
And one thing I probably need to clarify, in that program, we own everything. So the charger, all of, you know, anything associated with that is ours.
Right.
All we're looking for is somebody who serves as a site host, and they're essentially a partner in that they're allowing us to use their property and they're acting as that billing agent. The new version of the program, again, haven't worked through it yet. It'll look similar, but I don't know how similar yet. We may not even have the billing portion. We may not, the site host agreement may be altered. So it remains to be seen. I'll just give you context on the old program and kind of hint that it's gonna look similar.
And with that cost, would additional cost come depending on how many plug-in units you had at a station? No?
No,
It's all the same?
The old program, I mean, the site host can elect to pay for it. And there's certainly some instances where that makes sense, you know, like just particularly with apartment complexes and businesses. If they want to offer it as an amenity to the folks that live there, they'll just, you know, they'll pay for it. But I haven't found that to be popular for public site hosts. So that's really the only way that you would have additional expenses associated with it, because we're gonna run the lines, we're gonna set the meter, we're gonna pay for the facility itself, and then the maintenance of it's on us as well. The only thing that we asked from a site host under the previous version is that customer charge.
Like that, it's a base rate.
Yeah.
You asked on the Park and Plug program.
Yeah, and that's not something that we didn't say we have to have this. The Public Service Commission said you can't charge, you can't include this in your charges to the EV users. Somebody has to pay for that fee. So that was the only thing we couldn't roll up with it.
Okay. And so then by, if we were to sign up or say we're interested, we're not guaranteed that it's going to happen, but then also we might not, just because we would say, give you the name of the city of Carrabelle, that we're interested, once we see the program, we're not obligated.
Correct.
Okay, so it's either way, not obligated.
Yeah, it would not be until whatever version of a site host agreement that we develop for the new program, if it's approved, we would come to you, your attorney would look that over, y'all would vote to approve it. That's how it worked at the other locations that we did before. So there's ample time to work through all the issues. But if I know that there's interest here, then I can make sure you're on our initial list as we evaluate potential sites and say, hey, I've got, you know, Carrabelle wants one. Let's see about putting one over there. That's half the battle.
Okay. So I have mentioned this before, board members, I've mentioned this before, that I felt like the Messer Pavilion would, at this time, be the most appropriate location. It has a public restroom, and actually the charging station could be located right there at the parking space on that side, on the western side of that parking lot, by the public restroom. There's a covered picnic area, pavilion there. plenty of paved parking. It's only 1.5 blocks from Highway 98. It's right there next to 9-mile sidewalk system that we have here in Carrabelle. 1 block from the post office, 1.5 blocks from the visitor center, shopping right there up along Tallahassee Street and Marine Street, and 3 nearby restaurants at this point. Could be more restaurants or less. And you talked about you needed power, certain kind of power, and our fire station is right there in that same parking lot, so we know there's power there. I beg your pardon? Oh, there we go. That's it right there, Mr. Collins. Circle that for him so he can see that. And the little small square building is the restroom there. And then to the south, the A-frame there, that's the fire station, and then the covered pavilion.
Okay.
And then you see 98 down here with the, and I mean, if anyone has a better suggestion, we, former Commissioner Ms. Kelly suggested the pavilion, the Marine Street Pavilion, but that's the red roof there, the larger, that's too isolated to me.
And we can certainly, we can certainly, you know, one, I'm just gonna make sure that y'all are on the list, so when we do move forward with the next version of the program, that y'all are in the mix. We don't have to have the specific locations, so we can work through that, because, you know, let's say we don't, for whatever reason, we don't come back to you until January of next year to say, all right, we're ready. It took us a little longer than we thought, but we finally got the program the way we want it. Let's start now. You may have new stuff in Carrabelle in that time that you'd want to consider. So we don't want to, you know, focus in too heavily on the sites. Knowing that you have a couple areas you're interested in, we can go ahead and check them out and say, well, hey, this one doesn't have what we need, or this one does, this one's perfect. And then work through that over the next several months.
I have a question. Does Duke Energy or the equipment vendor advertise on websites that each city or where these are located?
Yes, ma'am. So what we do is we use the existing kind of the apps that everybody uses for EV. So when you're using your electric vehicle and you're looking for a place to recharge, you're using an app that everybody else uses, and we make sure that our stuff's on there as well.
Perfect.
And I will add as an aside that we're not the only ones doing this. Tesla's putting in infrastructure throughout the region. There's Electrify America that's doing this as well. We're not in competition with them. We welcome them. Quite honestly, if they add to our system, we get money that way too. So we're fine with that. So this is not a Duke Energy only kind of thing. There's a lot of folks doing this because all these car companies are starting to produce more. People are buying more.
All right, let me ask this board then. Are you all interested?
Yes.
All right, well, why don't we have a vote then to proceed with just notifying, we can notify Mr. Collins right here today that we are interested in continuing our research on this program and signing up possibly.
I'll make a motion for all of that.
Okay.
I'll say.
Okay, is there any further discussion or more questions for Mr. Collins? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries.
Thank you, and I'll be following up as we move forward.
All right,
Mayor, if you can, I have one question for Mr. Collins.
okay.
Going back to the last subject about the trees. I think you heard us talking about it.
Yes, sir.
Can you give us any kind of timeline on that?
I can. So this is part of a bigger program where we're removing dead, diseased kind of trees ahead of storm season. So it's kind of a special program. So we've gone through and identified hundreds of trees up here that we're going to take out. These are on that list. As of this morning, we're scheduled to kind of work from the west to the east. We anticipate being over here I'd say middle of May. It may stretch based on weather, but that's what we're looking at. If there's a pressing need that y'all are concerned with those trees posing a health or safety issue, we can send a reactive crew and move it sooner.
Our concern in that Veterans Park, there's only 4 of those pines. 2 of them we're having a sacrifice with no. And experts said, as you heard me talking about it, they're full of bugs, sawyers and pine beetles. The sooner we can get them out of there, the better chance of us saving the other 2 that are there. And as long as they stay there, the dead ones, then more chance of us losing those other 2 trees.
Understood. Well, I'll have no issue working with our folks to get you moved up.
We appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you for coming again, Mr. Collins. We appreciate your presentation. All right. And that was it for new business. And we'll move forward now to old business. And item 1, we have a request for extension of deadline to complete the 3 individual CRA building facade projects, which are the project that was requested by Ms. Karen Brown for the old pharmacy building, Ms. Janlyn Dowden for the Seacrest Realty building, and Ms. Vicki Harris, Shop by the Sea building. All of these requests were approved on January the 19th, 2021, and I see Ms. Karen Brown wants to come forward. Come on forward, ma'am. Nice to see you.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, I'm here to make a request for extension. Our latest information is on our windows. They will be shipped on May the 6th. So we're getting close, but I would like to ask for an extension. And I may only need 30 days, so at this point I'd just like to ask for a 30-day extension. And if I need further extension, if I find out they're not going to be shipped, that's not a delivery date, that's a shipping date.
Well, I'm going to say a couple of things, and mostly it's to remind the commission that the work is supposed to commence 30 days after approval of the application, but everything is good. You probably didn't know that, and I'm just trying to remind the commission and staff so that we can reach out. If we don't see work is not progressing, we can reach out and say, what's happening. And then projects that aren't phased are supposed to be completed within 120 days, or a request for submission extension must be submitted. But I understand that all of these that are on this list are having a problem with their windows. And I think if you're here taking the time to come over and ask for an extension, that you really should, I would recommend to the commission to extend it, not 30 days, but 60 days to make sure that you have enough time for just being shipped on May the 6th, I just want to make sure you have enough time and you don't have to come back.
Thank you,
For
I
an
appreciate
extension.
that.
I mean, does that seem sufficient, 60 days to y'all?
At this point, I feel like it does. However, and I think all of us understand that we're watching the news, building materials are way behind. There's a lot that's way behind right now on delivery. I'll make the motion that we give the 60-day extension at this point.
Second.
Well, I don't know if I wanted to hear what, we have that motion by Commissioner Millender
If the mayor
and
would,
second by Commissioner Allen. So in discussion, I wanted to hear what Ms. Vicki Harris had to say, and then maybe you can report on Ms. Janlyn, Courtney, so that maybe we can make a decision and decide on all of them at the same time. We may want to go 60 days. We may want to say, no, y'all get that done next week. Or we may want to say, 90 days. So let us,
I believe everyone's using, they're all using Taylor's building supplies.
Yes,
That
I am.
everybody's using Taylor's, and that seems to be where.
Who was the second on that motion?
Millender and then Allen.
do you want those separate?
Do we want to have a separate, I think it would be simpler if we just, allowed them all the same amount of
That was my
extension. So
motion. Yeah.
but we don't know what Miss Vicky's situation is.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Doesn't matter. You get 60 days, and that's it. Okay.
a shop by the sea. I want 90 days. I don't want to have to come back.
Are you joking? Are you?
I'm serious.
Okay.
Okay, same thing, ship date, mine is the 16th. On the windows is our last notification that my 2 front glass windows wouldn't be shipped until the 16th. They have indicated that as soon as the materials are here, they'll get the giddy up and get us done quickly, but yeah, I'm ready. But if you guys want to do 60, that's fine, but I'd like 90, just not to worry about it.
Let me see, have you heard from Chandler? What are her issues?
She didn't ask for a specific date, but the same thing, she's waiting on windows. They've been ordered from Taylor's Building Supply like the rest of them. And I'm not sure what her ship date was, but she said it was sometime in May.
Well,
Done first, get it done good.
Let's see, we just don't want them to extend into the next fiscal year,
That's what I was
which
just
would be October the 1st.
Oh,
So-
we'll be way done by then.
Okay.
We went June, July, and August, that's 90 days.
Yeah. Well, let's see, to May, to June, July. You're gonna have through July to get it done. Okay, so, would we want to amend our motion into 90 days?
I'll amend it to 90 days.
Okay,
I'll second.
a 90-day extension, and we have that motion by Commissioner Melander and second by Commissioner Allen. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, ma'am, I'd just like to say to the folks that are doing the projects, even though you have the 90 days, and what the mayor is particularly looking at, and what I'm thinking about is the end of our fiscal year, our budget year. And so don't relax that you got 90 days, try to push them and get it done. Thank you.
Well, and our fiscal year is October the 1st.
That's
so.
correct.
And I really would like to see it done before that, because we're, promoting the CRA and the facade grants, so. All right, so there you go, you have another 90 days, and just to remind the commission and the staff again that work is supposed, and we do know that on the White Kitchen, they have started, not the White Kitchen, the Russell that was just here, they started within 30 days. And how about the Prentice project, that has started as well, I believe.
It's been ongoing.
So.
And I do know that Miss Jalen's sign is sitting outside, so that's been ordered and received.
Waiting, and she has already removed, we paid for removal of the old sign on her, so she's already commenced
We didn't
hers.
actually buy the sign for this, but
Right.
she has started.
And the removal of the old sign was part of the grant, so she has commenced. So 3 of them have commenced. All right, 90 days. We'll be watching.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. Innovia Consulting Groups projects. Item 1, report on progress regarding virtual site visit for CDBG grant application for Marine Street revitalization project.
Unless Courtney's been contacted, I'm not aware that that site visit has been scheduled yet.
I haven't got a scheduled date, but we are still getting Melissa Fox some information that she's been wanting.
Okay. You don't have any questions on this item? Okay, then item 2, report on cost for mitigation of trees that may be a future potential problem along tree root damaged portion of Southeast Avenue A sidewalk.
Okay, we took a look at the cost of the tree mitigation there and got with the arborist, and basically it would amount to root pruning and water injection. So he would do a water injection with some fertilizer ahead of the construction, and then root pruning during construction. And so that amounts to about $2,000. That's just the mitigation cost for those existing trees. And that does account for the big pine tree being removed. And I understood that the property owner had offered to remove that tree. Is that?
He had previously, but I haven't had any, I've emailed him twice and haven't got any response back.
Okay. Okay, so sum total, project total, including the tree mitigation of $2,000, The sidewalk replacement would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,500. So that's around $7,500. I think from a budget standpoint, I think this is a project that can be done for under $10,000.
And, but we need to get the big longleaf pine removed.
That's true, that does not include that tree being removed.
And we would have to get approval from the owner to even mitigate these other trees.
Yes.
And we can't get in touch with
I've
them,
emailed
unfortunately.
him, I have not called him, but I've sent him Russell's proposal. I've sent it twice now with no response.
All right, and so, okay, so you think, Mr. Russell, your cost estimate is $10,000 and, for mitigation and sidewalk replacement. But if we remove the trees, then it's gonna be somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 if we have to remove the, let me see what we put on it. I don't think we put that on the budget, that amount.
Was that, can I ask a question while you're looking? Is that the cost of removing the tree, Russell?
No.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. The tree and the stump.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I know we're really dragging this thing out. I was hoping we could go forward with it today. But Courtney and I have been talking, and the response back from the property owner hasn't been that great, so. But I sure would like to move forward and get that sidewalk
And I
done.
believe
Yeah, I would
also
think
the
so, too.
tenant that hasn't had much response from the property owner either.
That's correct.
My understanding.
And so, but actually, I brought this up to the CRA board time and time again, even before you were up. But we put $13,000 for that sidewalk and infrastructure repairs there, and that.
Can I make a motion?
Okay,
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we proceed with the sidewalk project. If our city administrators, don't write all this down, Keisha. If our city administrator is unsuccessful in obtaining communications or contact with the landowner about the tree removal and the mitigation work that needs to be done, maybe the attorney needs to make contact. But all that being said, I'd like to see us proceed on with the project and try to get that sidewalk done. That's my motion, is to proceed with the project. And in that process, go ahead and, again, attempt to get in touch with the landowner through the city administrator. If that doesn't work, have the attorney contact them.
can I ask you to amend, to make it more simple, to proceed
Sure.
with the sidewalk project there, with the approval of the landowner?
That's great.
Okay, because we can't do anything to those trees, not even trim them.
That's the point I'm making. If our city administrator is unsuccessful in communicating with them and moving forward, then maybe the attorney needs to send them a letter.
All right, so.
Second that motion.
Okay. And that's by Commissioner Melander to proceed with the sidewalk project with approval of the landowner. And then second by Commissioner Mathis. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right. Thank you, Mr. Russell. Does anyone have any more comments or information for Russell at this point? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, discussion at CRA board projects, discussion and possible action regarding the CRA expense to budget report. And Courtney put this out for y'all at your desk, and you see it, and it's pretty straightforward. It was prepared from the year-to-date report from Miranda's desk. And then on the second page, down at the bottom, you'll see a little section, reconciliation. And that was calculated in 2 separate ways to make sure it was correct. We received a little more year-to-date income from the city and from the county than we expected. If you look back up at our revenues, And then we have, recently this month, we paid what was due from the general fund. And our revenues are a bit higher, almost $10,000 higher than we expected. And then we did not, we removed the water plant, $40,000 that we had for the roof on the water plant. So we've got, right now, we have unallocated funds to date of $69,411. Now, we'll probably spend a little bit of that on the sidewalk project we just talked about, a couple of thousand. But we need to be thinking how we're going to spend this, or how we'll allocate it. And then also, we had enough money for, I believe it was 8 facade grants, and we've got 5 facade grants so far. So we'll, keep taking a look at this over the next month or two, and maybe we'll need to do some reallocation on that. So just keeping an eyeball on what's happening. And then, so that's that. Let me find my page here. I've lost my place. Okay. Does anyone have comments on the expense to budget or questions? All right, then the next item is regarding discussion of possible action regarding murals in the two proposed murals in the CRA district. And so I've got some more pictures of murals, just showing you pictures of murals. That's at the Moose Lodge in Lake City. And Greg said, well, you could take the moose out and put a bear there, and you'd have something that looked, there's an alligator in there as well. And they do have an alligator there at the lake at the Moose Lodge. But we did talk to I was going to reach out to 2 artists, and we have talked with 2 artists. I reached out to Janlyn Dowden regarding the size and type of mural that she would like to have on her wall. I contacted the FDOT regarding permission to place a mural on Highway 98. Talked with Mr. Zeke Hayes, and he says there would be no problem with putting a mural there, but there are some guidelines. You can have no words whatsoever other than the name of the city or the county. Like you could put Carrabelle, Florida, and just like there's I'm sure many of y'all have seen that at the 23rd Street over in Panama City. You can't have sayings or mottos, no logos. It's, they don't want to distract drivers, and they don't want to be like they're advertising something on FDOT property. A rendering or an artist sketch of the proposed finished product must be presented to Mr. Hayes for a review process. And he said generally there are no problems with mural on FDOT properties like this in these local communities. So if you wanted to move forward with something, I put that one there for Miss Sabrina Brown. I thought she might like it. So.
You know those people.
I think they're in her store window. So this is what Miss Janlyn would like. She likes this mural, and she would like this on her wall that we presented. I think I have a picture of that wall somewhere. Yeah, there it is. And then Greg, the artist, I'll tell you how they charge here in just a minute, but Greg went ahead and took some dimensions of that wall, and it's 605 square feet, and he did some dimensions. I think I sent them to Courtney, but I did send these dimensions to both of the artists, and they charge per square foot. They charge per detail. It's the size and the scope and the amount of detail and the height. Are they going to have to rent a scissor lift or something? Is it a rough or a metal building? All of that really dictates the pricing. And one artist said it would run around $15 to $20 per square foot. And he says there's not a lot of detail in that choice there, the sunflowers. And they both suggest to use this UV coating called Ronan Aquathane, and it prevents color degradation by reducing the UV rays, and then it's, the fluorescent colors will come out and extend and be prolonged, and it will not crack. And if you recoat it every 5 years, the murals will last at least 20 years. So it seemed like, you know, I sent these pictures to both artists and then the FDOT wall, and neither artist is interested in the FDOT wall, and I did send with them a suggestion from Commissioner Brown, words that said Carrabelle, Florida, and you've probably seen them like postcard words, and then they have little pictures embedded, and they're not interested in that for some reason. And I don't know if it's because it's not artistic enough, and then this wall is 471 square feet there. So, the first artist gave a quote of $15 to $20 per square foot on Ms. Jammon's wall, and the second artist gave a guesstimate of around $9,330 for Jammon's wall at the 670, whatever it was, 605 square feet. And that was with a clear coat, and the other artist also includes the coating. But for Jammon's wall, I would suggest, I asked Courtney, setback on this, Jammon owns this second wall, this second vacant lot here in the foreground. She may sell that sometime. The setback there is 25 feet, and that wall is 49 feet from the front to the back. And I would suggest doing the mural for the first 30 feet, and then bringing that blue color around just to the back of the wall. That way, if a property is built there, the mural won't be covered up.
First, maybe 10 feet of trees.
She would need to, she's gonna have to trim those trees up, you know.
Well, that's commercial, so there is no setback unless you're on a main highway.
So there's no setback on that.
Commercial, I'm pretty sure. I think it's just 67 and 98, you have to have your 25 foot. And then there's no rear or side.
All right. Well,
I think my Green Street had something.
now, okay, but back to Miss Sabrina, she will be trimming those trees. We talked to her about, I talked to her about that. But I didn't really, I didn't ask her, I mean, if we're gonna put a mural up there and spend $10,000, we wanna make sure it's gonna be seen for at least 10 years, I would say.
We see how long properties sit for.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that she may sell. Just hypothetical, she sells it a year from now. And the new owner doesn't want that, they're gonna destroy that building and put a new one in.
No, I'm talking about
the empty lot.
the empty lot.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Miss Jamlin owns that empty lot
And
there.
what if she puts it on the, and new owner purchases that lot and needs that mural moved to put a building on? We take a chance, is what I almost
Yeah,
driving at.
if that vacant lot to the east, a building could come on there and it would cover up that mural.
Right, right.
And that's a good wall, though.
So they didn't want to paint one on the wall at all, nothing?
Well, if we could come up with something else that I could propose to them, or
They want
Courtney.
to kind of do a scene, is what they want to do.
Didn't want to do Carrabelle?
It seems like it.
Something more like something
It's
more
just
like.
so short.
Yeah, now, the Panama City Water Tower, I like that. You could put Carrabelle, Florida. It's a solid word, not mixed with pictures in it. It's hard to read. And then you could put, we have the same thing. Panama City, Florida does not have beaches, just like the city of Carrabelle. And you could put a couple of shrimp boats and
So
some
just say
pilings.
Carrabelle, and then on each side, some shrimp boats and
And pilings with a
pelicans.
pelican.
I think that would look great. Tell them, what do they feel like painting?
I don't know, I think they like to have themes given to them, and a lot of them do like educational style painting. Gaines Street, and I would like to go, I haven't got the time yet. Gaines Street in Tallahassee is just full of murals on each side. So,
I like the water tower. It's bright and colorful, easy to see, shrimp boats and pelicans, great scenery.
and for Ms. Janlin now, I don't know, you know, the artists are ready to move, either one of them, whoever we would give the job to. Janlin's ready for it, but I'm concerned about the empty lot. What she has, her intentions are in the future. And she may not know, you know, between now and 20 years.
Seeing how fast properties move around here, I don't think it's gonna be a huge issue, at least in the next 5 years. Because there's so.
There is no
much
setbacks unless you're on
available
98 or
property.
67 on commercial property.
Okay.
Not according to.
All right, thank you. And she had come in years past and request to put a building with a commercial downstairs and residence upstairs.
That
But
was,
that's
Bill was gonna be doing
But that's
that.
expired, so.
Okay. All right. Well, what I'll do, I'll go to her, find out what are her intentions there. And I will take back this kind of a image of that water tower image to the two artists and see if they would be interested in doing, either one of them, that retaining wall. And if we can find anyone else who might have a, you know, a wall
I think,
interested.
does anyone know the people that own the, Carrabelle Marina? Cause they've got some excellent wall space.
They do. And I did talk with one of the artists. We're looking at also putting some signage on the one of the airport hangars. So I've been talking to them at the same time, trying to just take care of everything at once. And they suggest using aluminum composite material, ACM panels, for metal buildings,
Like
because
attaching
it's,
to it.
yes, and so they have, in their shops, they'll have like a stud wall built out. These ACM panels are 4x8 and 4x10, and they mount the ACM panels, paint the image on there, whether it's, you know, advertising signage or mural or whatever, and then they dismantle it, bring it to the site, and then mantle it. And they do murals like that as well. And so a mural on the Carrabelle Marina would be an ACM panel. They are UV coated. They're less expensive than murals that are painted like that. Yes, much less expensive. So, and you might want to consider that. I showed you some of those last time, like in Havana. But someone would need to go to, I know Mr. Bowe worked off and on with the owners of the Carrabelle Marina, but he really couldn't get them to commit to a mural.
Well, we didn't really discuss a exterior, something that was attached to the, you know. I'm not sure Mike's got a nut. That's a good spot.
It is. And they might be interested in something like that, and those.
He's been here longer and he's done more stuff. He sort of knows more where it is than he did.
But they say that, I don't know if I said it already, but they routinely can take those down and refresh them and then bring them back to, you know, reinstall them. So that's how those work. But does someone want to go to the owners of the Carrabelle Marina, either one of you, and ask if they, since I'm working on two, you know, ask if they're interested in something like, you know, take some pictures with you, some samples, and see if they're
I'll
interested.
volunteer, Sabrina.
Okay, interested in ACM panels?
Contact information?
Mike, yeah.
Mike Johnson, we have the.
Yeah.
Okay, if somebody could send me their contact info.
Okay. All right. Yes, Greg?
Where are the sunflower fields in Carrabelle? I must have missed that.
They're not in Carrabelle. That picture's, that's.
Well, that's what my point is, that if the CRA is granting the money, I would think it should be
I thought she wanted.
themes that are kind of in keeping with Carrabelle
Well,
in the
after she
area.
looked at all the pictures, she likes that one. That picture is a mural in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Oh, well.
She's got something on her wall in her office that would make a nice for little pelicans
And like Adirondack chairs? I
yeah,
think,
I don't remember the chairs, but I was just in there and I'll be back there in the next hour. I'll talk to her.
okay. And I did point that out to her. I think I took a picture of it even.
And there was more nautical
Yeah,
in terms of
actually,
look more beachy and water related.
this is a picture of it right here. Pass that down and see if that's the one. And I showed that to her, and I said, I'm gonna take a picture of it.
Yep.
And I said, this would be a great mural, you know, and I was trying to hint.
I think she's interested in that. She would like
Okay.
that one.
Parrots and chairs.
It got away from me.
Wash your hands now.
I was gonna pass it down this way if I can find it again.
Send us time.
Yeah, okay, I'll wash my hands when I finish. I can't find it now. Here we go.
Wash your hands.
Yeah.
Everyone's vaccinated.
I ain't touching. I'm not touching that.
Don't. Where's it been?
I can't touch on the only one.
Okay. All right. All right, so that's something that's more in keeping with the area. So,
It's
see if
it's lively and it's entertaining.
yeah, see if she might be interested in that. I know she likes it, or she wouldn't have it hanging on the wall in her office.
I'm gonna see her at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
In her office hour.
And we're talking about, you know, worried about, tell her we're concerned about the vacant lot. and-
Signed in blood.
Yes, and that, you know, maybe we'll go 30 feet instead of, you know, because we're worried about it being covered up. Okay? So we'll just keep working on this project for now, if that's all right?
Sure.
Okay. But we need to try to get something done by, just like them,
Yes.
by the end of the,
Fiscal year.
yeah. Now, let me find my, I think that was it. And then we have other items brought forward by the CRA board members. And we were gonna talk about the AICM. What did you find out when you looked that up for this express
Just a
lane?
convenience store, like a normal gas station.
Okay,
It didn't look like, something special.
okay, so we learned before you arrived that the express lane has been purchased, you said, Miss Keisha, or?
It just says we recently took over.
Okay, took over.
I think throwing it out the door.
Yeah, everything's in the parking lot.
That's great.
Shelves and-
All right, I just wanted to remind you all that our building facade and site program is just that, and because it's a site, property, you know, is included. Property owners in the CRA district, they can use those funds to trim their trees that are visible from the street property. And I'm probably gonna put something out on my Facebook page, you know, to say that with a map of the CRA district, so we can maybe utilize some of these facade grant funds that we've set aside. And then we also, we're working on a project to send a letter out, and we to the JLAC folks, and we were reviewing monies that had been paid from the general fund back to the CRA fund over the years, and in a couple of years we saw that the monies increased, and I asked Courtney, why did the monies that were due to the CRA from the general fund, why did they increase? Because we had been paying back, and the CRA wrote back to us. He said during the year of ended 2016, the CRA paid salaries to staff in the amount of $70,970 to the general fund. While this arrangement is allowable, a reasonable and documented methodology must be used to determine the amount of salaries to be reimbursed by the CRA. And since there was no documentation of the amount, no documentation of how the amount of $70,970 was determined, the amount was ultimately determined to be due back to the CRA, so that made it increase. So when we, and if we, just like I said earlier, if we expand to that big district, we'll have to refigure, recalculate how staff or hire more staff or something's gonna have to happen. And when that does, we will have to be able to document on how the monies are spent on salaries in order for it to qualify to be paid out of CRA funds. Okay? That's just FYI. And is there anything else? All right, then how about a motion to adjourn? Okay, that's by Commissioner Allen. A second? Second to adjourn?
I'll second.
Okay.
I was about to say.
I'll second it.
Stealing thunder.
Frank, we just waiting on you.
Okay, all right, so that motion is by Commissioner Allen, second by Mayor LaPaz. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you. Good meeting.